Okay, so in another video I mentioned that someone wanted me to add up and down arrows, and it took a little bit longer to make it work than what I anticipated. And the main reason why is we basically have to go to move piece, void inventory control is the section I'm talking about, because this, as the name suggests, controls the location in the inventory window. The problem is this calculates but doesn't actually store that value, so we can't just grab. Currently, the way this is designed, we don't actually have a value. Excuse me, we don't have a variable storing that value. And that's the reason why it kept falling apart when I kept trying to, you didn't see it, but I've been working on this for some time. And so what happens is we need to actually store this so that we don't just keep calculating over and over again. So we'll start with that. So, public float. We'll call this new YPOS. And you have to be careful using the word new, since that's actually used in certain commands, but as long as it's part of a larger word, you should be fine. But something to be mindful of. So what we want to do is this. We're actually only going to have a single transform position. Okay? So we're going to have a calculation be done depending on whether you scrolled up and down, or if the return to inventory key has been hit. But other than that, we only actually want a single transform position. So transform dot position equals new vector 2, and this is a constant, negative 7.2f, and then this is where we need that new variable. So we said it was new YPOS. So what we're going to do is, in these three ifs, we're going to now calculate this variable, the new YPOS. So we're going to hack this out a little bit. So let's see. So we want new YPOS to be equal to the current position, the Y position, minus the negative, minus positive 2.4. Now in this one it's plus 2.4. So it will be the same except for that. Then in this one, if it gets returned, that I think we can keep the same, because its inventory position has not changed, it's just been returned to that inventory position. So that I believe we can leave that. We can test it, but the main thing is that we've kind of redesigned this. We broke what we were doing. Now we have just a single transform dot position. Okay, now you can say, why do this? Because the key is what we're going to do next. So we're going to create a new C# script. Let's call it arrows, if I haven't used that anywhere else in this project. Okay, looks good. Can open this up. I already wrote it out in a text file, so I'll copy and paste it, but then we'll explain it. Okay, so let's try this again. Let's go to text file, we'll copy, and we will paste. There we go. So, public static, like I said, this variable has to be static so it's accessible to all the pieces as well as the arrow objects that we're about to create. It's going to be a float, and it's going to be 0. Now what we're going to do is, outside of start and outside of update, we will add on mouse down, and we're doing two things. So this script is going to be it's going to be attached to an arrow object. If the game object name is up arrow, then we want inventory adjust, so this new variable, to be reduced by 2.4, which we said is the difference vertically. And if the game object name is arrow down, then we want it to be increased by 2.4. So reduced by 2.4. So actually, I wrote plus equals. You could do minus equals. If you want to be consistent, you could say minus equals 2.4 versus plus equals 2.4. It's the same thing functionally. So let's save that. And I just have to get, yeah, okay. Ignore that. This is something I was testing. Just save that. Notice that there's an error at the bottom, so. Okay, so we created a static variable. The static variable gets adjusted when you click on the mouse on the up or down arrows. Now we need to dump this variable into this newly created transform.position statement. And this should be arrows dot and what did I just call it? INV ADJ. So INV, there we go. Okay. So like I said, the big change is we are now storing the current position. We weren't doing that before, now we are. So this is almost ready to go. We just need to create our arrow objects. So as you can see, I only have one arrow. There's really no reason to create two because you can just rotate it. So we'll put it there, slide it over, slide it up, add component, physics 2D, let's give it a polygon collider, it's a trigger, and it needs the new arrow script. And we said the name of the arrows were going to be arrow up and arrow down. So that one is arrow up. Now we just copy that, paste it, change the name to arrow down. And I believe we want to rotate that on the z-axis. There we go. It already has a script because I didn't copy the object till it had the script. That actually might do it. Let's take a look to see how this works. Something's not right already. I know what it is. The new YPOS. I set it at 0, which we don't want it to be. For each object, it needs to be set separately. Okay. So that's what I was saying a few minutes ago, is the fact that we're not storing that. So it makes this a little bit busier now, because now I have to store these variables in the individual object. So this new inventory position that we created, this new Y position, you have to click on the object and then take the Y position and put it there. So this one's 6. This one's 3.6. This one's 1.2. This is negative 1.2. negative 3.6. Negative 6. Now the reason why this one seemed to be working, as you can see it wasn't, because it should have been down here, is it was defaulting to 0. Now, let's see if that took care of it. Okay, much better. So I'm using the up and down scroll wheel, so that's a good sign. So we changed this to use just a single transform, and as you can see, the scroll wheel is still working. Now let's see about the arrows. Yes. Okay, there we go. So, not that bad after all. Like I said, I was asked to do this some time ago, and my apologies it took so long. I was really trying to get my head around this, because I try not to break what we've already built too much, and in this case I did. It wasn't too big of a break, but yeah, we had to get rid of the individual transforms, replace it with just one, and we actually needed to capture the value of where it's at, and we weren't doing that. We were just making a calculation, and we were saying, okay, go ahead, place it there. We needed to actually capture it. So that should do it. The arrows now work. If you have any more questions, just let me know.